And I guess in terms of like niche too, because I think the idea people have that, in my opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that people have this idea of like they need to be on like this really well-named person show and that really well-named person show. But like I think actually for you, like you're really defining a niche and you have to actually communicate to a certain group. So I guess for you, was the niche important? And if so, how did you really define like what your niche should look like?
I think that you could go buy 1,000 marketing books from all over the world, and every one of them would tell you to know who you're marketing to, like in chapter 1. Like you're understanding who your ideal customer.
Though, and you probably see this with a lot of people you work with. A lot of people don't consider that out of the gate, man.
Nobody wants to niche down. Everybody wants to work with everybody. And what I always tell people is the person that works with everyone works with no one.
Yes.
It's a good thing to remember. Excuse me. The riches are in the niches. Like you've got to understand who your ideal customer is. Because I help people create content every day, and they're like, I just don't know what to say. It's like it's not that you don't know what to say. Because if I ask you a specific question, you give me a really good answer. It's that you don't know who you're talking to. And if you can identify who your ideal customer is, it makes it way easier to create content. But again, this is a game of attention. If you don't know who your customer is, you don't know where to go. Mm-hmm. I knew that people in real estate, which was my niche, listened to podcasts and they attended real estate events and that they hung out in Facebook groups. And so I wanted to be where they were. That's the game. If I've got to go where my market is, if my audience didn't listen to podcasts, I would not be on podcasts. Mm-hmm. That's very important to know and understand. And so like it's everything. If you don't know who you're talking to, it makes it very, very difficult to go out there and perform. I help real estate agents wrestle with this idea every single day. And that's where that little tag came from. The person works with everyone, works with no one. You got to know who your customer is so that you know where to go to get in front of them. You know what to talk about. You know how to position yourself. Like you got to know who your customer is.
And I guess, is there like a, I'm trying to think of how to put this. Is there like a too granular versus well-defined? Like here, I gave this example as a joke in a blog post I wrote. Like the people can sometimes get too specific, like COOs who don't like CEOs, who play underwater polo, but not on Wednesdays, pet giraffes and hate zebras. Like, can you get like, cause I think people have this idea of like, they hear the avatar and I need to define my avatar and his name is Joe and I'm going to talk to him. But like, can you get too granular or what does that look like for you?
I think that you can. I think that you can. I don't think that it hurts you to have a very specific insight and understanding who your ideal customer is. Like I know a lot about my ideal client. A whole lot.
What's the most surprising thing you know about your ideal client?
It's just all the little subtleties. Like I have an iPhone because most of my ideal clients have iPhones. I drink Starbucks, or at least have like a Starbucks cup, because I know that typically my ideal client likes Starbucks.
Okay, that's pretty granular. That's awesome.
Like if you can grow to understand, because then there's subconscious signals that get sent when I go to a real estate event, as an example, and somebody sees me with an iPhone. It's a subconscious connection. He has an iPhone. I have an iPhone. They're not thinking about that. Yeah. But it's a link. It's a subconscious link. It's the same thing with a Starbucks cup. It's the same thing if I cuss and you cuss. It's the same thing if I like the Mercedes and you like the Mercedes. Like all of these are subconscious links that from a perception standpoint help somebody develop a relationship with you without even thinking about it. And I, as a marketer, I obsess over all of the psychological details because there are subconscious ways that you can win the game, which makes it feel like you're never selling anybody. You know how many people I get on the phone with that are like signing up to pay me thousands of dollars a month, and they're like, I never even asked. It's because we've built this. I've been very intentional about developing a relationship with them. I understand who they are, what they think, what they like, what they don't. I take positions on things. I'm for something. I'm against something. I like all of these things help you develop a relationship with your ideal. So can you get too granular? I think yes. Like you definitely can get lost in the weeds on this, but I think that there's like a little bit of a difference. Like I got started teaching real estate agents Facebook ads. Okay. Well, my market at the time was 1.2 million realtors. The number of realtors that use Facebook ads was like 10,000 people. So it wasn't like I had this gigantic consumable market. That's very small, but niching down like that, I had an audience, they had money, they needed leads. I think there's a lot that can be unpacked there. Yes, you can get too granular, but I've not really seen it yet.
Well, I think that the important distinction that you made there is you have a lot of data on your audience, so you also know how to position things correctly too. I think that's really, really important. I think because it's a causative viewpoint and not an effect viewpoint, right? Like it's like, okay, if I have this data, I can X, Y, Z. It's not like, oh, because I didn't have this, I can't win. But it's a causative viewpoint. So I think it's a really important, thing to note there.